talk about whatever you talk about, but you're also surfing is really great.
What are some of the problems you see in the lineup? What are the things that that make it difficult to go to certain spots? And what is like your experience like when you go in there? Do you immediately feel intimidated going out and you don't see people who look like you, or is it something that you experience when you're in the lineup and it's the stare, the vibe? Because sometimes I wonder, like, it must be difficult because surfing does have a bit of a meritocracy too, right? Like there's something, that has to do with your skill level in the lineup. And there's obviously, like, there is a respect thing for people who have been doing it for a while and, been fortunate enough to do it for a while also. But there is like this whole hierarchy that is unspoken about, untalked about sometimes even, but you're supposed to guess and understand it when you paddle out, which is really difficult. And I imagine it must make it difficult to gauge whether people might be vibing you for who you are as opposed to your skill level or, all those things. I imagine that would be somewhat difficult, no?
My experience, I mean, I know that Johnny has had many more negative experiences, and when they do come back, I want to hear them talk about. Yeah, hey, did you want to? Just my experience in the water has just sort of been like I'm afraid of everything and everyone. So
in general, so it doesn't even matter. You're just,
this is a negative experience. Yeah. Totally. But yeah, you wanted to go in depth because I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like at this point in my surfing life, I've been doing this for a long time. The issue with paddling out, for the most part, like other than people like making dumb comments about my makeup, which sometimes happens, but not that often. The big issue is that like there's this rule book that like the way, like if you want to participate in the lineup, you have to kind of like buy into this sort of like aggressive, jostling like desire to perform that way and to surf that way. If you want to get any waves, like you have to fight for them. And I have no desire to do that. So I don't get waves that much. I just kind of sit on the inside, or like maybe I'm patient, but I'm not really that patient. I tend to like paddle around a lot. So I think that the sort of like I tend to pick my sessions pretty carefully. And the big vibe thing is you're either like in or you're out. And I think that is a big access issue for a lot of people, because if they are intimidated, they're going to be out. Cause like, if you're intimidated, you don't want to then like start picking fights with like, 20 or 30 pretty like aggro looking white dudes with their heads down and their heads shaved and their black wetsuit.
Hey, this is baldness, okay? I have male pattern baldness. We shave our heads because there's no hair growing, all right? So let's... For those who haven't seen where I look like I'm bald.
You exude nothing but good vibes in the water. And the thing is, it's easy, right? You can just like put out good vibes, but that's sort of not how most lineups are. And so I guess that's sort of that's kind of like the big rub right now is like and that's part of gender is like there are like a lot of parts of like my socialization that make me hate myself. And one of them is like aggression and the sort of like, expectation that that's how I will be comfortable behaving, or that's how I want to behave, or the kind of implied competitiveness. I mean, again, like New York, very different from California. I've recounted this story a couple of times, but like there were grown men picking fights with me when I was 12.
Same here. I mean, I know how you feel. Like it doesn't care. I mean, I totally get that. Yeah.
And they just do it. And it doesn't really, and the thing is like, it doesn't stop until you are like big enough and aggressive enough that they don't want to pick a fight with you anymore. And that's sort of what you learn, like, at least in California, like that's sort of like how you learn to navigate is you just like, you put the vibes up and you sit in the right spot and you charge and you make it so that no one wants to say anything to you. And that's how you like survive. And I think a lot of people probably, I know a lot of surfers are going to be like, yeah, but like a lot of spots are not like that, or like, it's not always like that. And like, it's true. It's not always like that. But also like, if it's crowded at Steamers, Swamis, Blacks, any good spot, like that's what it's going to be like. And also if you want to get like, if you want to get better, you have to, you need to surf a lot. And it, if you want to be committed to surfing, you sort of have to buy into that like dumb little contest.
So like I had a guest on who was from out east in Long Island, and really nice guy, big heart of gold actually, but also could be seen as an intimidating person in the lineup. He described certain things. He's like, the thing is, when I was a kid, even we got harassed, we got, abused, but they did this because it was to teach us respect, because they didn't want to step out of line, particularly if you grow up surfing and you start to get proficient at a young age and start to get a little ahead of yourself or a little cocky, which I'm guilty as charged, at times. I had an older brother who used to just beat that out of me, not physically, just mentally. But anyway, but it was like, that was a real interesting thing, because I was like, yeah, I guess I can see the logic in it, and trying to keep people humble too, because the ocean humbles you and you learn your way in the lineup and you earn your spot. There was like, that's how it's described by some people. And I do see some validity to that too, because, you don't go into a dojo, right, and step on the mat with your sneakers. You don't go into an ice skating rink and just all of a sudden just go take over, right? Like there is a respect level in there. So I imagine it can be really difficult sometimes to gauge both, and both of them, like the intimidation stuff I don't like, and I don't like the abuse stuff, but I also understand needing to make sure some people stay humble and respectful of other people in the lineup too.
Yeah. And aware of something more than themselves and other people in the water, and that kind of tough love idea of just preparing someone for, bad, challenging water conditions, or all these different elements that happen in the lineup just for safety. But yeah, it is a fine line, I think, and then also all the personalities, the way one person might be speaking might rub the wrong way to someone else. And so it's a hard one to kind of gauge sometimes.
It can be hard. I mean, I definitely understand. I understand that. I think that I feel like it comes from this sense that there's like finite resources, and they're trying to distribute those resources from a top down thing. And one, it's like, keep your fucking capitalist logic out of the water. Like, just like this, it is like the intertidal zone is like completely useless. Like you cannot commodify. Like barely any animals can even live there. Like the fact that we've mapped it according to like our like economy, or like that theory kind of has always bothered me. And then the other thing is I totally hear that. And like yes, like a lot of etiquette is for safety. And like, yes, you need to be firm when somebody is like doing something dangerous. Like you don't just like let them do it and like have a good time. Like you should talk to them, and it's kind of our collective responsibility to make sure that we're teaching everybody in the water how to do this safely and respectfully. But like the idea that you are teaching respect by being disrespectful,
that I absolutely do not condone.
Bad pedagogy to me. It's sort of like, you want to teach someone to be humble, like hoot them into waves, like even if they're dropping in on you, and then talk to them afterwards, or I think it's like not that hard to be nice. And like, yes, you will probably get fewer waves, but like if you're in a lineup that's like that, the waves you do get are going to be way more fun.
Yeah, I do find that in terms of, especially mainstream surf culture and how that trickles down to some of those more competitive lineups, there is this kind of language of like, there's this edge of, it's almost like bullying. And I don't understand why it needs to be like that. The way people speak to each other, it would never hold on land. If somebody talked to you like that, like, forget about it. But we think it's okay that someone speaks like that to someone in the water. It's just
entitlement.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand that. And it's not like, it's not like tough love in terms of like, we're doing something so that we could survive as a species. This is like recreation, like this is the finite resources, something that's for fun. And so the idea that we think, like, some people think that they can just speak to someone in the tone that's like a bully. It's, I don't understand that. And you see that even in these, threads, these conversation threads on, like, when they put the story of Tyler Wright and her supporting BLM, and I mean, my God, or any thread online, there's so much bullying that goes on. Actually, I wanted to know, like, based on the Surfer article where you were featured, was there any kind of like blowback, or did you get any negative response?
The beach grit one is the one that I would be scared of, right?
That one. Specifically, the comments is actually like what we're talking about, because those were the main comments we got about like etiquette. Like,
what were some of the things you saw like on there? Like, for those our listeners, Beach Grit did do a piece on you guys. Someone wrote about it. It didn't feel too flattering of a piece. I don't know. How did you view that piece?
Derek was like nicer than he could have been, to be honest.
Yeah, true.
I expected it to be way worse. I don't know. Momo, do you want to jump in on that?
The comments?
The article and the comments, because the article clearly was there to get a rise out of the comment section. It definitely seemed like a thing of provoking and poking their readership and yeah, I mean, that and, great whites, those are the things that I guess draw people to Beach Grit these days. So they do an excessive amount of great white stories lately. Sorry. Momo, go on. Sorry.
I just think like the article, the Beach Grit article just took a lot from the ID article, and then also just like what was actually written originally was like not great. So like, which like isn't, but basically I think a lot of the comments were about how, one, we are creating more division in the water.
Wow.
Which like isn't
weird.
Wow.
Our point. Yeah. Wow. I think like, I understand.
I've yet to see that.
Wow.
Just by like creating a us and them like sort of thing, which is like not that. Our whole thing is like everyone, like we want, it's not just like, I mean, obviously like supporting and like focusing on like the communities that have been not represented in surfing, but like that doesn't mean like Tyler can't come surf with us. Like, like we,
damn right.
So that was like a big thing that was like came up multiple times in the comments. And then also just so much stuff about like etiquette, right? Like,
wow.
It just like, I kind of like, I haven't looked at the comments recently, but, so just like, yeah, we don't care who you are. Like if you're a kook, we're going to drop in on you. If you don't know your etiquette, like it doesn't matter. Like just all this stuff. Which another thing that Benny's is trying to do is to actually teach that etiquette and stuff that isn't spoken of or like isn't like widely known, so that we don't have those accidents and also like incidents of conflict.
But also,
need the etiquette signs up on the boardwalk again. They used to be there, like how how you handle yourself in the water, where the rips are, what the etiquette signs were great until they Sandy took them down actually. But that to me, like I because it is unspoken, but if you see it written, it becomes much more clear, and everyone can work together in the lineup much better.
But I also think it's really important to know the etiquette, also to know that when someone's like crossing the line and they're calling you out on all sorts of things that's not based on anything that they need to be,